They like to integrate before they evaluate. And men have to take ownership of evaluation. Men do not take ownership of evaluation anymore, and they want the women to evaluate themselves. No, it is your job as the man to evaluate who you are vetting as your wife.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are doing a little follow-up, and I know y'all are excited because we're talking to our favorite people. So if you don't remember, about a month ago, I did a red pill video, the truth about red pill. Check it out. We'll put it in the description box below. And so many of the boys were infuriated. They were angry. Y'all, I'm not lying. Go look at the comments yourself. I tried to defend myself the best I could because, of course, this is a female perspective stemming from male issues, or actually addressing male issues. And I think that I did a good job of covering what I believed was the issue. But again, as you know, boys will be boys, and they definitely told me that I didn't understand a male's perspective, and you're the reason, you're what's wrong, and you're why red pill exists. So what better thing to do than to invite my handsome husband here to give his perspective on what he thinks the issue with red pill is. So if you are interested in that and you want to hear Malik's perspective, just keep on watching.
Let's jump into it. So first, I would like to start off by mentioning, what does it mean to be a man, right? I want people to actually sit and think about what that truly means, especially in, our world now. We live in a world now where, people can't define what a man is. And I'm not talking about in forms of, sexuality. I'm genuinely talking about what it means to be a man. Not if you are a man, what it genuinely means to be a man, right? And I think that we've gone pretty far away from what it means to be a man. And what I see now is a bunch of podcasts, a bunch of entertainers, a bunch of celebrities, YouTubers, you name it, right? They have gathered in this space of what's called red pill, right? And what you see now is a bunch of men that want validation from each other, whether it's for clout, money, or validation from other men, right? And to me, it's very odd because all that I see is men talking to other men, gossiping to other men about how women are this, women are that, women are this, women are that. We hate women that do this, we hate women that do that. We tired of women doing this, we tired of women doing that, right? And at first, when it first started, I didn't see any harm in, expressing, the frustrations, right? But now it's come to a point where, you have all these big podcasters, the Fresh and the Fits, the whatever podcast, Anton Daniels. You have all these different podcasts now that, it's starting to get disrespectful. And that's the reason why I wanted to make this video, because you have these men who think that they're men and they're telling other men on how to be men. And it's false. It's spreading a false narrative. And I wanted to come up here and actually spread what it means to be a man, because these type of men and these type of podcasts, what they're telling you is that a man is someone who doesn't take anything from women. You don't take no crap from women. A man is measured based off of these three things in the red pill world, which is the bedroom, the ball field, and the billfold. What does that mean? In the red pill space, that is what they're telling you. You are measured up as a man. You're measured up in the red pill space at how much money you have, how athletic you are, or how strong you are, if you are a gym bro, or how many women you have, how many women have you had sex with, how many women can you get. Those are the three things that the red pill space is telling you guys on how to be a man, which is 110% false. It's a false narrative. And there's too many of you guys out there that know that is wrong, but you don't have the courage to say that it's wrong. They're disrespecting your mothers, they're disrespecting your sisters, they're disrespecting your daughters, and they're disrespecting your wives. And you think that it's okay, and some of you don't think it's okay, but you don't have the courage to stand up and say, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, and you're wrong. And I'm telling you right now, if you don't say that it's wrong, you're going to create feminine men, because that's what Red Pill is doing. Red Pill is creating a space for feminine men. Period, point blank. It's feminizing men. It is literally, and how do I know that it's feminizing men? Because you men in the Red Pill space are taking on characteristics of women. Women gossip. The same women that y'all complain about and the same women that y'all cry about, y'all doing the exact same things as these women. Gossiping. That's a characteristic of a woman. That's a form of feminizing. So y'all are trying to tell men that y'all are men, and y'all are trying to tell men how to be men when y'all are doing feminine things. That's not what a man does. That's not what a man is. A man does not diminish a woman if he's a real man. A real man is not how much money I have. A real man is not how many cars I have. That's not a man. A man is measured biblically based off of 3 things. The triple C's. Committed to God-honoring work, committed to the family, and committed to God's law. That's what a real man is. And if you don't understand that, you should be sitting there saying, oh snap, because that means that you're not a man. And now what we're seeing is a full space of grown men, in quotations, men who are settling for the things that they're deeming are bad on women. What type of man do you know says, I'm a man because I have money? Men that are telling you because they have money that they're men. Men that are telling you how to be men and telling you, don't mess with this woman, don't be with that woman, don't get married, but they're married. You're listening to men who are married with children, who are living separate lives than the lives that they're telling you to have. Why? Because they're doing 2 things. They're feminizing you and they're taking your money. Red Pill is the reason you're broke and turning into a woman.
So can I ask you some questions?
Yeah.
So what do you think the ideal dynamic should be between a man and a woman?
The ideal?
Yeah.
So there's only one ideology, and it's not even ideology, it's law, right? That's
Okay.
why I said it's built inside of God's law.
Mm-hmm.
The situation between a man and a woman, right, is God has called a man and a woman to be bound together as husband and wife. Not as boyfriend and girlfriend, not as just kicking it, not as friends with benefits. God has called
Not
man.
as baby mamas and baby
Exactly,
daddies.
exactly. God has called men and women to be husband and wife. Why? Because Jesus had a bride. Who was his bride? The church. The church was Jesus's bride. And it's a man and a woman together. It symbolizes the love that Jesus had for the church. That's what the situation and the relationship between a man and a woman is supposed to represent. It's not based off of, lust. It's not based off of kicking it. Not based off of how many drinks we can have together. Not based off of, how many kids we can have together and so we can break up. Not if we can buy a bunch of cars together and break up. Not if we can buy a house together and then break up. It's not based off of any of these things that the world says it's based off of.
So if the red pill ideology, they really seem to believe that their ideology is so strong.
Mm-hmm.
So if their ideology is as strong as they think it is, why do you think they blame women for everything? You know what I'm saying? Like everything wrong in their life, it seems to stem from something feminine, from a woman, from something a woman has done, from something a woman has said, from something a woman has, and let's just be clear, these traumas that these individual men have stem from trauma of another man. Majority of the time, you yourself haven't even been through this trauma. You yourself have a scarcity and fearful mindset of marriage and women and reproduction based on situations that were not even yours, and situations that have been projected upon you from men who are stating their stories on these online forums. And as Malik just stated, they're not even living the life that they're presenting to you online. You don't even know the full story of the dynamic with their previous wife, their baby mama, whatever the case may be. And it's only one side of the story because you're so dense that you won't even listen to a female perspective. You don't even want to hear what the woman has to say about the dynamic that she had with this man if she does speak out. So what do you think is the reason they don't take ownership or any responsibility within their situations? They just stem their ideology from things that women have done to them.
Let me ask you the question so I can understand what you're trying to properly ask me. Are you asking me why do they believe that their idea is correct? Why do they believe that what they believe in is accurate? Is that what you're asking?
Well, specifically, why do you think that the red pill community dislikes women so much?
Okay, so it's very simple answer to that. The reason that, the red pill space has become so large and why they're so disconnected with women, it's simple. It's because they haven't properly been discipled. A lot of men, grow up, and they have no man guiding them and telling them how to truly be a man. So when they go out into the world, they get their first heartbreak, they blame that woman. Right? They blame the woman for their first heartbreak, and then it starts from there. But if a man properly discipled them, right, then they maybe have either avoided that heartbreak, because a lot of times what happens now is men and women, but we're specifically talking about red pill. A lot of people nowadays, they like to integrate before they evaluate. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Elaborate.
Okay, so that's the issue. We like to integrate before we evaluate. What does that mean? What that means is we like to integrate families. Maybe you got kids and I got kids and we integrate. Or, we have kids together. Or we want to, fornicate before we get married. Or, we just met each other and we already moving in together, right? Before we evaluate, who am I dealing with?
Oh, that's good.
That is the issue. We integrate before we evaluate. And that is the issue. And men have to take ownership of evaluation. Men do not take ownership of evaluation anymore, and they want the women to evaluate themselves. No, it is your job as the man to evaluate who you are vetting as your wife. It is not the woman's job to evaluate who her husband is. Men, you need to evaluate who your wife is. There's a reason.
Is that because he's choosing?
Exactly, because he is choosing, and not only just because he's choosing, because literally God tells you when a man is ready, he leaves. It didn't say she leaves. It says he leaves his mother and his father to go start his own. It does not say she leaves her mother and leaves her father to go find her own way. No, it says that he leaves his mother and his father and he goes and starts his own. And there's a reason for that.
What it sounds like to me is the men aren't transforming into the type of caliber of men to be able to step into the husband role.
Yes, exactly. And that's what I'm talking about. The reason is because, like I said, and I got a little bit off track, the reason is because they're not being properly discipled. They don't have men to properly guide them and tell them, hey, here's how you get over heartbreak. Here's how you get over emotions. Here's how you put your emotions aside and where you can still go to work. Here's how, you can, feed yourself. Here's how, even if you hit rock bottom, you can get back on your feet. Here's how you build a community. Here's how you disciple other men, right? They don't have other men coming together and properly discipling each other. And that's the problem with red pill. Red pill thinks that they're discipling other men, but all you're doing is destroying other men. And how do I know this? Because discipling is a good